Hello, and welcome to your March Tarot Guidance readings by zodiac signs. If you're new here, my name is Carolyn, and the way that these readings work is that we do them by zodiac sign element. So there will be 4 separate readings for this. So we do air, earth, water, and fire. So there are many ways to listen to this. You can listen just for your sun sign, if that's your cup of tea. I always suggest listening for your rising sign. I always suggest actually just listening to the entire thing, because if you're listening to this, there's probably some messages in there for you. If you're needing specific guidance on a certain part in your life, I encourage you to look at the planet or the house that rules that energy and then listen for that sign. So again, these are your March collective readings done by zodiac sign elements. The order will be air, earth, water, and fire. Hello, my beloved air signs. We have Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini. Your card energy for the month of March is the Two of Pentacles. So twos often represent pairs, right? They represent two people together, two ideas coming together, two parts of yourself coming together. And I really love the depiction on this card. It's almost like one of those little, what's it called, where you like turn it upside down, the sand clock thing. That's what this looks like to me. Typically this card is represented as a person that's trying to balance two things and juggle two things in between the different hands. But I think that the way it is depicted in this is speaking a lot more towards like the internal balance that we need, right? And so again, if you're imagining this is like a sand, whatever that's called, right? Where you turn it up and then like the sand runs down and then you turn it the other way and the sand runs down. It feels like Spirit is saying like, we need to start finding a grounded way to find like this balance within ourselves, right? So a lot of times when this card comes up, to me, it's more like the energy of balancing work and play and, like the outer aspects of life and like how do we make sure that we're balancing, like not doing too much with rest and things like that. But this seems very much more like internal, right? Like this internal kind of like timing mechanism that we have where we are finding balance within ourself and we are finding these kind of two parts of ourself that are working together, right? So don't imagine this piece laying on its side, right? With like the sand halfway between. That's not how it works. It's like some days we have it upright, right? So imagine like this being the masculine and this being the feminine, this being the yin and this being the yang, this being, the sun and the sun and the light energy, and it's like the moon and the white, right? So the dark is the masculine and the light is the feminine, and how we're like in this ever flowing balance where we're always turning it upside down, right? And it's almost like there is always, sometimes it's a really slow trickle and then we turn it upside down and it's a really slow trickle. The sand never stops moving, right? So this flow and ebb of like trying to find the balance between these two internal parts of yourself, it's an always flowing, it's an always moving thing, but it's gentle. I guess I should say this, it has the ability to be gentle and to be slow and to be flowing. And this is just like the rhythm of life, right? Like that's just how it works. Every day we open up the phone and boom, shit is going to be in our face. We leave the house and there's traffic. We roll over and there's a partner talking to us, whatever it is, right? So every day it's a slow, internalized way of thinking to find, how do I find the balance? How do I find the ebb and flow? How do I stay centered within myself? Okay. So Spirit is saying like, if you know that you have a grand old morning until you hit the road and you hit that rush hour traffic and you lose your shit, then what can we do to change that, right? Can we center? Can we take breaths? Can we say, going into this day, like, I'm going to choose to not let these things bother me. I already know that this is going to happen. And so instead of going into it, like knowing it's going to piss you off or allowing that, Spirit says, like, why can't we change our mindset around that? Like, if we know that we sit in traffic every day and it drives us batshit crazy, then let's find a way to change that, right? Let's say, oh, okay, this is 45 minutes of time that I have to myself alone, that I get to listen to this favorite podcast, or I get to rock out to this favorite music, or I get to just detach and daydream, right? So when you're the one of the big things for this month is looking for these moments and these opportunities that are coming up in which you can take control of your own thoughts and your behavior, and you can change the way that things are working for you, right? Like, remember, we control the energy doesn't control us. Okay, so we're going to keep it short and sweet without going off on a tangent for you, air signs, Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini. I hope you have an absolute wonderful March. All right, now we have earth signs, Virgo, Taurus, and Capricorn. So your card is the Chariot. So I do want to take note that it is the number 7. I also am kind of taking note how it has the black and the white, kind of like the first card did. So there's like a little bit of balance coming into play. My eyes are actually really going to this symbol right in the middle, the yin and the yang, which is interesting because I talked about that in the last one. I'm going to look in the author's book and let's see what the yin and the yang mean. The Chariot is the starburst within the yin-yang symbol, signifies the union of heaven and earth and masculine and feminine forces. Okay, so that's what we already knew. Just kidding. Nothing special. Maybe that's just an emphasis on, finding the balance. It's interesting because to me, when you think of earth energy and abundance and root chakra and grounding, I feel like people think that that's more masculine, but it is feminine energy, earth energy, like the empress, think of like that, Pachamama, like the Mother Earth, literally, it actually is feminine energy. So it feels like we're talking about like the mix between this drive, but also like a softness of the drive, right? So the Chariot is about forward momentum. It's about movement. I'm going to the number 7 and like the meaning of the number 7. My eyes are kind of going to like all these stars above, and it feels like, you know, we are grounded in this movement, in these changes moving forward, but it does feel like we're almost blocking off this remembrance and notion and understanding that like we are actually spirit led. That's kind of like what I feel like these stars above are saying. Spirit is like saying like, I'm here to help guide you on this way. Like some of the decisions we're making, yes, we make them from a grounded place. We love that. We make them from an embodied place, but also like, are we connecting to our higher self, and are we listening to spirit and how spirit is asking us and directing us to move forward? It feels very strongly like there's somebody listening to this or multiple people listening to this where it's like you are feeling a pull towards doing something, and it really feels like it has to do with something like that feels spirit led to you, right? So whether that is learning a divination, whether that is starting a business, whether that is, hey, I've read tarot for 20 years for myself and I want to start reading it for others, whether that's I want to come out of the broom closet, as we call it, maybe it's like, I work for this big corporation, but I also teach and embody yoga. And I really want to try to bring in meditation or yoga to like this aspect of my life and share it with other people. Like whatever that means, that feels really strongly, right? It feels like, there's this part of our metaphysical, spiritual embodiment practices that like we're feeling called to share that with people. We're feeling called to move that into other parts of our life. And spirit is saying, yes, integrate both. When you have the embodiment part down, the feel good part down, the safeness in your body part down, the grounded part down, that is when it is good timing to bring in the upper. So many people live in those upper chakras in the upper world, but they don't have the grounded embodiment to like implement it. And if you feel like you already have that stability, grounded part, yes, pull down from spirit and embody the rest of that. And it's like time to connect those two, right? And also remember that, you are the driver of the Chariot. Like that is you. What is this symbol behind? I'm not sure what this almost looks like wings, but it's like melting, right? Let me see in her description if she talks about what is behind there at all. I don't think so. Yeah, sometimes she has such great symbolism meanings in her book that if something pops out to me, I like to read it, but nothing is popping out for that. So the final message is remember, like, you are in charge. You drive. You say what direction you're going. Like nobody else can pull you. No energies can pull you. Like nothing. Like at the end of the day, change is coming. Forward momentum is needed. You cannot be stuck. We are always moving forward. We are always moving one direction. Like there is no such thing. We're not moving back because why would we do that? That's what Spirit says, right? So we are always moving forward, evolving, growing, learning, integrating, but you're in charge. So there is no fear. There is no fear. They say it again. There is no fear in movement. There is no fear in change. There's no fear in stepping into your power. Just there is no fear because remembering like I am in charge and connecting to wherever that faith, whether maybe it's yourself, maybe it's hell yeah, fuck yeah, I got me. I can do no wrong. I know my gut. I know my mind. I know my body and my soul. I lead myself. I trust that. Maybe it's I know my ancestors got me. Maybe it's I know that the fucking fairies and the elementals got me. Whatever your support system is, whether with it's in yourself or outside of yourself, it is about being confident in that, knowing that like you got this moving forward. And whatever fear you have about moving forward, it comes to do with the change that comes from growth. And we need a mindset change about that. As like what stays in the past is fine because I'm fucking going forward to my future that's on fire full of great, wonderful things, right? So we need be excited about it. Be this more passionate forward momentum moving forward, right? Don't worry about the things or the people or the whatever's left in the other versions of yourself left in the past. Those do not matter, right? And pause, go outside at night, look up at the stars. Remember how big and vast the universe is. Take a moment to breathe it all in and connect to your higher self and connect to spirit. And just remember that you are this tiny little speck in this giant world, and everybody's out there just trying to do what's best for themselves. And people don't really care. And if they do care, it's a projection of their own insecurities and their own bullshit, right? And it's you and the stars and God and spirit and your higher self. And that's all that matters, right? The people that you care about, as long as you're right within your heart and right within them, fuck the naysayers. All right, Earth, Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus, have a wonderful March. All right, water signs. We have Pisces, happy birthday, Cancer, and Scorpio. If you haven't, make sure that you go back and listen to the Pisces season readings. We're also in Pisces season as I'm recording this. So this is the Prince of Wands. This is also known as the Page of Wands. This is a gorgeous card. There's so much beautiful imagery and just the brightness and the color water signs. I'm definitely going to read about the imagery in this card because it just is saying so much. So, my eyes are kind of going here. Take a look, take a breath, center, say spirit, what do you want to show me in this card? And look and just pick out like the first few things that are kind of popping out to you. Okay. I'm actually going to read directly from her book for this just because that's what I feel called to do. So the Prince of Wands, or the Page of Wands, if you will, brings passion, creative energy into action. His/her, remember when we are talking about these cards, they are non-binary, even though we give them certain pronouns in the descriptions. His desire is to express spiritual unfoldment into his physical world. The prince is the initiate, holding the magician's magic wand, bringing together the unlimited energy of spirit within the magical world of matter into manifestation. He is a fiery adolescent who is courageous, curious, ambitious, and daring. There's a restlessness inside of him urging him to advance forward and start something new. He represents the awakening of life force and creativity that needs an outlet to channel energy into transformation. Again, transformation, which is what we just talked about with earth signs, right? The prince is the ultimate adventurer, passionate and energetic with a love for life. He has the gifts of vision and intuition that flow through him with universal inspiration, right? Water signs. That's the most intuitive of the element, right? And so, when we see these cards that represent people, it's either ourselves or somebody else. But to me, this is saying like water sign, like this is why I wanted to read this, because that is your embodiment right now. That is it for March. I like how the incense fell right when I said that, right? Like stepping into like the pages, they're the babies, they're the students, they're excited about life. The spirit says like, what are you passionate about? Like this is kind of going back to one of the things I said earlier in the reading with one of the other signs is like you know that you're drawn to these things. Spirit says like, girl, boy, you are so past the questioning of it. Just go, just do. Like, come on. Like, it's almost like the guides are like, fucking Christ. Like, how many times do we have to say it? Like, stop putting it off. Whatever it is, your growth, you're stepping into your power, that creativity, that passion, that knowing, that divination skill you have, that connection to spirit, whatever it is, like spirit is like almost like fed up and annoyed. Like we're not doing this. We're not circling around over and over again. We already talked about this. We already knew it. You already know. We already know. And you're starting to get on our damn nerves that you're not fucking listening. That's kind of the energy behind it. So let's read about the imagery. In the image of the Prince of Wands, the prince opens the veil between divine inspiration of spirit and the physical world of manifestation. He holds a magic wand of creativity. The sunflower wand brings light, joy, and healing. The rainbow bridges the two worlds of spirit and matter, blending them and creating all kinds of magical creations. The rainbow symbolizes the link between heaven and earth. The butterflies in the rainbow symbolize transformation. The sunflower symbolizes the happiness and love. The stars hold ancient memory. The spiral symbolizes infinity, growth, birth, and expansion. The symbols for the elements of air and earth twirl around magically in the rainbow, symbolizing the mixing of the two energies. The prince's tunic represents the life force that is alive and expanding within him. Sorry, I talk fast. He is a child of the sun, of spirit and light. The magical lion symbolizes one's life force, personal power, and inner strength. The lion represents fire, spirit, and the energy of the sun. The lion is yang, masculine, conscious energy of action, manifesting on a physical level. When the masculine lion energy aligns with the divine feminine energies of the unicorn, the magic of creation begins. The white unicorn and the golden lion symbolize the union of feminine, the moon, and the masculine, the sun, of our dual nature into the alchemal marriage. The young unicorn represents innocence and purity. The unicorn's magical spirit brings creation to the world of matter. It symbolizes the spiritual gateway to the higher realms of the divine. The solar medical wheel, with its spiraling center shines its brightly into the prince's wands, constantly inspiring the universal flow of creation to pulse through his body. So Spirit is showing me like the energy of like what's in my brain, right? It feels like there's so many ideas and so much creativity and so many thoughts and so many directions to go. And then it comes in like this ebb and flow of like, I want to be super creative and produce or do this and that, but I kind of don't know where to start. So I get overwhelmed, or then I just don't do anything at all. Or then I have moments where it's like I have the freedom to rest, and I'm like, okay, well now it's like this imbalance in the brain of like not knowing how to move forward and how and when and where to use this energy. So Spirit says when you're trying to figure this out, the first thing you have to do is slow down and go within, right? If you don't know what to do, take a breath, sit down, do nothing, check in. Are you just trying to stay busy because it's hard to be still? What is the top thing in your creativity that feels good to you? You know, I was going to sit down to do these readings today, and I just kept feeling really, really pulled that I needed to read a chapter from this book first. And so I went with it. I thought, I'm not going to force myself to do the readings. I'm going to sit and I'm going to read the chapter. The chapter was 30 pages. And after about 15 pages, I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm ready to go read. I followed that intuition. It felt good. It felt nice. It was a time and a moment for me to kind of surrender to that and just pause before I moved into something that I wasn't ready to quite move into, right? And so, you know, sometimes it feels like we're forcing things. So because we have all this energy that's wanting to move and wanting to flow. And Spirit is saying like, we need to prioritize what is actually wasting time and just doing shit to stay busy, and what's actually working towards our final goal. But at the end of the day, the top of the pyramid is what really feels good when you're creating, what feels good when you're doing things, what feels good where you're spending your time. You do not have to do just to do. You do not have to create just to create. You're also in the same breath allowed to create things that you love for yourself, not because it's going to make you money or it's because it's going to be some sort of work thing. And another message on top of this is when it's coming to create for business and livelihood and money and abundance, when you are more heart-led and you feel good doing it, that is where things fall into place for you. So Spirit says, stop forcing. It feels like this message is getting really long because it's splitting in these two energies. You don't force it. You cannot force it. You know, a couple days ago, I was going to relax and take the whole day off to myself. And I fought myself for an hour about what I wanted to do. And then once I got into the flow and I had, you know, my first place I went, I had a connection with somebody who talked about spirit. And I was like, see, I'm in the flow. Just go with it and let the day go. But there was like a resistance in that in the beginning for me that I had to like push past and get through. And not just sit here and work and create, right? Because I knew that I needed time to get away. So it's about getting out of the comfort zone, not doing the same shit, you know, allowing yourself to kind of break through that barrier. You know, our nervous system can get stuck in loops sometimes, and we have to make sure that we're testing it just enough to be like, oh, okay, is this me in my comfort zone? Am I stuck in this loop, or is it safe for me to kind of get out and push through it? I will ramble on forever, water signs. I feel like there's a lot of information in here for you. So I hope that this is landing with you, any bits and pieces and parts of it. Water signs, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, have a wonderful March. All right, we have fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. We have the Seven of Swords here. I'm pretty sure we pulled this card. I don't remember for who last month because I specifically remember going to the stag. But you know what's interesting is my eyes are going to the fact that it looks like in the video that the stag is almost rainbow colored. I don't know where that reflection is coming from on the camera because he's not. He's white with a little bit of brown, but it looks like there's a little reflection. So I'm going to read to start with the bottom because my eyes immediately went to like these green lilies. So The green lily floating in the surface are flashes of intuition that draw our eyes downward so that we may gaze through a mirror into the hidden parts of ourself. Okay? I love that. This is a card of the mind. The Seven of Swords, you know, in the depiction in the original Rider-Waite deck, like it looks like it's about fighting, it looks like it's about sneakiness, but this card in my personal relationship is usually in the self. It's the mind, right? It's the matter of the mind. And it feels like, we're acting like we're this stag with this grand gesture of all these antlers. And, I look at my steady swords that I have next to me, but then if you kind of look, you see this one that's falling and you're like, wow, there is so much beneath the surface that we are not allowing to come forward, or we're kind of not acknowledging. And I'm actually going to read from the book, because it feels like spirit is like, it is time to bring everything to the surface. Like even like the reflection of the stag, like look at the difference. That looks like a little baby deer down there, right? Like it's not the same. It's almost like we're putting on two different fronts and two different parts of ourselves. And spirit is like, we're wanting to combine and we're wanting to bring it all to fruition. And we're wanting to connect these parts of ourselves so we can be like one solid being. So the Seven of Swords appears when you find yourself struggling through inner conflict and frustration. You may be experiencing a challenging situation where you have no control, leaving you with a sense of futility and helplessness. Thoughts and actions that do not express your true self may begin to arise. Okay, first off and foremost, even reading that, it's like I'm thinking of the collective energy and what is happening in the world and how it seems to be getting worse and worse. And Spirit is saying, put a fucking zip on it. Literally, the incense fell when I said that. I heard that this morning. Spirit said to me, Carolyn, your goal for this month is to not have a conversation with a stranger on the internet. That's it, point blank, period. And no arguing with anybody that you know. Like that's it, right? That's my personal goal. And so Spirit is saying you need to reel that in and have that same kind of thought this month, or else you're going to be internally driving yourself literally batshit crazy is how I hear it, right? Like you can't fix stupid. You're not going to prove points to anybody. All you're going to do is mess up your own mental stability and make things worse for you in your own head. Okay. So this unsettled energy is seeking an outlet to either create a negative consequence or be transformed into a higher awareness. Some small or large event in life has initiated a calling, taking you on an inner spiritual journey to understand your purpose and potential. Again, this is a theme that that's why when I feel called to read this, is always interesting, because this was a theme I feel like that this entire reading of like following our spiritual journey and where spirit is leading us to do things. Understanding your purpose and potential. The Seven of Swords signals an inner shift in consciousness, mentality, mentally and spiritually. The key to the Seven of Swords is to pull within, focus on what needs to shift and change your life internally and externally. Make the adjustments, let go of outworn patterns and relationships, then open up to emerging new insights. The gift of this card is a breakthrough on a spiritual, mental level that brings clarity. I'm actually going to keep reading. The Seven of Swords brings new thought patterns that challenge the old parts of the self. The inner shift causes mental resistance and internal unrest. The transformation of the self has already begun. Acceptance and surrender to the change will allow you to unite with your new aspects, bringing heightened spiritual awareness and opportunity to regain your mental strength and inner intuitiveness, to review challenges or conflicts in a new light, thus discovering creative solutions, freeing you from struggle. Spirit says, fire signs, you have to go within. Anybody listening to this that's made it this far, you have to go within. You have to spend time with self. You have to quiet your mind. You have to connect. You have to give yourself 5 minutes of peace and quiet and clear your mind. And just any thought that comes in, it's a practice. Nope, we just send it away. Nope, even if you spend the whole 5 minutes sending it away, but really energetically clearing yourself of other people's shit. And so you can come in, you can't even hear yourself. Spirit says you can't even hear yourself. Especially because it feels like there's this outer layer of like anger and rage and annoyance. I said that at 444 on the timer. And Spirit says we need to shut it off. We need to disconnect. We do not have to document everything in live time, right? Too. So like, say like, even for me, I'm going to go this week on a trip. I don't need to document as I go. I can take all the pictures I want. I can take all the mental notes I want. I can write it down. And then the next day, when I'm in a different space and I'm having like a normal work day, then I can go back and post those things on social media. So Spirit is saying be present in the moment. You can still take in the sights and the pictures and do the documentation, especially if it's something that you want to share about your life. But be present in that moment with self. Because when we're picking up the phone and we're posting on social media or we're responding to the text or we're doing whatever, you're disconnecting, right? And Spirit is really saying, like, be energetically all within yourself without any distraction from other people, right? Giving yourself time like that throughout the day, giving yourself a full day in the week, right? Like, you do not have to respond to everybody's messages all throughout the day, right? You can set aside an hour a day and do it then. So fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, I feel like I could start lecturing about that. I'm not going to. So have an absolute wonderful March. And Spirit says keep an eye out for anything stag related that you see, like as a symbol, right? So it could just be a deer or an elk or anything that's like of the sort, with like anything that has antlers, basically. Spirit is saying, like, take that as a sign for me this month to like reel it back in, reel it back in, reel it back in. All right. Thanks so much for being here for these March collective readings. Make sure that you check out the Pisces season readings and subscribe. That way you don't miss my readings every month. We do one at the beginning of the month for the new month, and then we do one towards the end of the month whenever we get a new zodiac season. Thanks always for being here. Give me a like, give me a share, and take care of yourself.